Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's edition of The Fishing Teacher, and really appreciate you guys swinging by the channel to spend some time with me on the video today. Guys, today we're going to be talking about what I call a sub-zero crankbait, and these are crankbaits that are designed to run less than a foot deep. They got a little bit tiny lip on them. Probably the most famous are like the Man's 1- and Baby 1-, but there's a lot of different companies to make them, but they all have the same thing in common. They only run less than 12 inches deep. And this is a really good way to catch fish, probably about half of the year. So what I'm going to do in today's video is I'm going to describe the conditions and the situations where you need to throw these little sub-zero crankbaits in today's video. Also, guys, quick reminder, Tackle Warehouse has just got about another week or so left on their Black Friday sale. One of the things I've been talking about, guys, is this new Garcia Zata tact bait cast reel that I got from Tackle Warehouse. This reel, the proceeds of it goes to help benefit our first responders and our veterans. It's just a great tactical looking color, 10 ball bearings, great reel, guys. I've been using it for the last month. So I'll put the Tackle Warehouse Zata tact reel link in the description if you guys would like to get one, 20% off for the next week or so. So much appreciated with that. Okay, guys, these things, I've been throwing these little crankbaits forever, man. This, like I said, Man's probably has the most famous one, but there's a lot of different companies that make a sub-zero, guys, and I'll link all the crankbaits in the description of this video, my Tackle Warehouse link, where you can pick up some sub-zero cranks if you want to try them after the video. But these are, they're very situational, is what I'm saying. It's like the bass have to be, number one, in the right mood and the right frame of mind to hit them. And they've got to be in really shallow water under the right set of circumstances. So given that, from what I have found in my own fishing, there are two windows that these things work really good in. And they have to do with the summertime and fall time fishing. I have not done that good on them any time other than the year. Maybe a little bit during the post-spawn, but not quite so much. These are lures for me that work the best from like July to maybe November, sort of in the time frame we're in right now. And I think a lot of it just has to do with, you know, the water temperature and everything directly correlating where the fish position, where they like these particular baits. So on top of that, there's two different conditions they work good too. Once you've got that warmer water, the fish have got to be in and around some type of shallow cover for largemouth and spotted bass, but there's another application you can throw them for smallmouth. So the favorite type of areas I like to look for largemouth in the off-colored water. And when I'm talking about off-colored water, these things work best in water visibilities of under about 1.5 feet. That's ideal for it. If you gave me like a perfect scenario as far as water clarity for the largemouth on this, it would be like maybe 12 inches of visibility, just about 1 foot or so, like that's perfect for it, maybe even a little bit less. And you need to have some type of an object to throw it around. Now, I've caught a few on it, just fan casting it down rocky banks, but by far, the best success I've ever had on it has been coming around some type of wood object. Lay down trees, stumps, you know, any type of logs in the water, maybe around a dock corner or something like that. I've caught a ton of them, guys, on this thing, running this thing around the edge of the docks, like in front of boat docks and down the side of boat docks if the water's off colored. I've whacked them like at Lake of the Ozarks and down at Grand Lake on this thing, you know, around the boat docks. But the bigger fish that I've caught on, and I've had some really good tournaments on it. I've had some tournaments where I've made several top 10s and almost won a couple tournaments on them over the years. My best thing to do is to throw it around shallow wood in the water. If you've got wood in the water in less than 3 foot of water, these things are excellent lures for bringing those fish up and out of that wood to bite something. Now, another thing with that, guys, is the retrieve on this thing is critical. Now, above anything else, as far as what determines your success on these things is how you retrieve this. They require a fast stop and go retrieve. If you try to reel these things like at a slow or moderate pace, you know, just like this, you know, coming across the water like that, you'll never get a bite on them. You've got to smoke them through the water. And on top of reeling it, you know, pretty fast stop and go retrieve, you've got to keep the bait where it's waking the surface a little bit. So in other words, even though these things, a lot of them will run like 12 inches deep, you don't ever want them to run that deep. You want to keep them about 1 inch under the surface to where when you reel that thing in the water, you see a little bit of disturbance behind the water. It's like it's moving through the water about that deep, and you don't have like a lot of disturbance, but you can see the water is rolled up a little bit behind it. That is perfect right there. That is what generates a strike. If you reel this thing like with your rod tip low in the water where it'll get down 6 or 8 inches underneath the water, I don't hardly ever catch anything. I always catch them when, say for example, I see a little bull behind the water and then maybe it gets down deep enough or I lose the bull, then I bring it up and the bull starts again. So therefore, you really have to pay attention to your rod angle. When you throw the thing out there, most of the time I've got my rod pointed like, parallel to the water. I don't have it down. Sometimes I'll even have it up, and I'm constantly trying to seek that bull behind the lure. Now, what usually happens on the cast is when I throw it out there, I'll start out with the rod tip high, and that gets me boiling it right off the bat. And as the lure gets closer to the boat, I have to drop that rod down a little bit, because I'm getting too close to the bank and it'll blow out of the water without it. Most of the time I'm throwing it on anywhere between 15 to 20 pound test, Seaguar Visex fluorocarbon line, and I like some type of a 7 to 7.5 foot medium action bait casting rod, something with a little bit of tip to it. Color variation, guys, you can see here, I've got a bunch of different ones here. Color variations depend upon the water clarity and the sunlight conditions. I prefer some type of a more subtle color, like a shad pattern, if it's brighter out, or if that water visibility is, closer to 12 inches. And then if it's, say for example, if it's under that, if it's a little bit dirty, or say if it's at low light conditions, something a little bit brighter, like some type of a chartreuse look on there with that. But anyway, there's a lot of different companies that make it. Like I said, I'll link them in the description of the video. But just give them a try, man. It's like, one of the things about it, if you're catching some fish around shallow laydown wood, say on a square bill crankbait, or maybe throwing a spinnerbait up shallow around it, or even a swim jig, try those little zero crankbaits, man. They'll catch good ones. I'm telling you, they will catch really good fish, and they don't really get fished much. A lot of people don't throw them anymore. They're sort of one of those overlooked, forgotten lures. But man, when they bite it, it is so fun, because since you're waking that bait basically into the surface, when the fish hit it, it's almost like a topwater strike. You see the fish come up and hit it a lot of times, and you'll see a boil underneath your bait. It's a really fun bait to catch fish on. So anyway, just a few tips there. Hope it helps you guys out. We'll talk later.